It was incredible. Cletus literally he flew his helicopter into our backyard.
God forbid you just stop the car until the track is definitely clear. I mean,
When have you seen a hurricane in Texas? Well, it happened that day.
What's all-star about having every driver? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Good guy, ass. Good guy, can't drive a race car. Sorry.
You're listening to the Foreign Fuel Podcast.
hello everyone, welcome back to the Foreign Field Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Caplupo, joined by Steve Ray and Wesley Riddle. And this week we have a special guest, Matt Gould from Niece Motorsports. Great to have you, Matt. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, 20 years old, just had your birthday in January.
Mhm.
And so what's it been like, being so young and kind of thrust into the sport of NASCAR and into racing?
Well, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. And, following my dad's footsteps, just doing it every day and, yeah, obviously getting to drive. It's awesome. And to be able to do it with my dad, whether it's racing at Hickory or, going and doing the truck stuff alongside with him, it's so much fun. And I love it. And yeah, I look forward to the year. Um, Not really sure what I'm 100% doing yet, but there's a lot in the works. But, I'm just excited for what's to come.
Yeah, we know you had two truck starts each, the past two seasons, two starts in Martinsville, a start at Richmond. And funny enough, you made your debut at Milwaukee in both trucks and in ARCA.
Yep.
So is there any rhyme or reason to why Milwaukee would just happen to be the first, start in both of those series?
So for my ARCA start, I had in 2021, I had worked my whole summer break on our ARCA cars with Jet Nolan and another kid I can't remember. But that next summer, Cody Fod came to me and I had won a couple of late model races, and they had promised me that if I won some late model races, that they'd throw me in this ARCA car. So he asked me to just go pick a race that didn't fall on a truck weekend, and we would go to it. And Milwaukee had just been one that was open, and yeah, it was the one we pursued. So going 2 years later, when the idea of me being able to run a truck popped up, Cody just came to me and was like, well, why don't we just go back to Milwaukee? Since you had made laps there and ran good there. So I was like, yeah, why not? And I love Milwaukee. It is a tough racetrack. I wish we still went there. I love it. It's a very unique racetrack for sure. But no, it was very fun. I wish that it would have gone better. We had mechanical issues during Milwaukee that prohibited us from basically lap 30 of the race on. With some fuel pressure issues, but I still had a blast. It still was so awesome to soak it all in. And my dad was walking over during pre-race, tearing up. I've never seen my dad cry before, and he'll probably be embarrassed when he sees this, but he did cry. And yeah, it was awesome. I relive that moment a lot when working on the trucks. Seeing the truck that I drove. Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. Had a blast.
Yeah, I'll attest to that being a dad myself. Like when you see your kids do some cool things, that's just tears of joy. And I bet
Yeah.
all the work and stuff that he's gone through and all the work that you've
Yeah.
gone through, just seeing that moment come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah, dads, trust me, we do not like to show emotion that much. So but
Yeah.
I know deep down inside his heart was melting for sure. Outside of the couple starts that you made driving wise, it seems like no matter what at Nice, you're getting your hands on stuff, whether that's interior work, whether that's wrenching on stuff.
Mhm.
Is it just a matter of, hey, I want to get in and I just want to be a helping hand, or is someone coming over to you and saying, hey, we need help here? How does all that? How do you get so involved in doing all these different aspects of working on a race team like that?
Well, I just try to help where I can. Me helping the company as much as I can will help me race, is the way I think about it. So yeah, whether that's last year I did there's we lost a guy on my dad's truck interior wise, and so they threw me on it, and I completed the job and did it to the best of my ability. Currently now I'm actually building chassis. We lost some chassis guys, and realistically I knew how to weld, and we were desperate. So they're like, hey, can you go and build chassis? And I was like, I'll figure it out. I've been doing that for 2 months now. I've definitely came a long ways. When I first started, I was it's not good at all. Now I've developed where I'm on par with our other chassis guys. And yeah, it's been fun. And realistically, I just love to do it. I love racing. I'm ate up with it. And every day I want to be a part of it, whether that's, working on the chassis or bolting seats in, putting engines in, going to the sim, whatever it takes. And that was my mentality when I came into it. That I just wanted to help the team however I could. That it would in turn help me out, and I just fell in love with it, became skilled at it, and yeah, I just try to help where I can.
I know your dad was probably the lead inspiration for kind of leading you to pursue your dreams, but alongside your dad, who were some of the other influences that, as you grew with him as kind of your role model and mentor, that you kind of surrounded yourself with?
Ross Chastain. So when my dad first worked with Ross in 2019, it's funny. Um, I believe that I manifested this because when Dad worked on the Xfinity side and Ross was driving at JD Motorsports, I remember being in the garage at Charlotte, and I was 12 and I didn't know a whole lot. I just, you could look at cars and just tell like what was what. And Ross ran alongside Dad's cars, which Dad was at Roush at the time, every week. And I remember telling my dad, like, man, that guy is really good, like really good. And I just knew he didn't have like what my dad had. And so when my dad told me that he was going to be partnered up with Ross, so I was floored by it. And I remember running up to Ross the first time and telling him the story, and he thought it was awesome. And then Ross has helped me out a ton, whether it's late model racing, the sim, truck racing, ARCA, uh, throwing a football. He's helped me through everything. And having a mentor like that to me is special because obviously I've met a lot of people in this sport through my dad, but nobody has helped me out like Ross has. And there's other people too. Johnny Sauter, I'm very close with. Ron Hornaday, Kevin Harvick. There's multiple people that I've got to meet through my dad that helped me out so much in my career, and I'm just grateful for that. That they can in turn give back to me.
I've got one follow up with that too. I thought it
Mhm.
was interesting that Mike Chiplett was your crew chief,
Yep.
and of course your dad used to work for Evernham. And I think
Yep.
I could be wrong, but I think they got their starts both at Evernham.
Yes, they did.
So is it kind of surreal that Mike was able to come back to the team? I know he's kind of changed houses. Your dad's changed houses, but the
Yeah.
fact that they've ended up kind of partnering together once again all these years later.
Yeah, I feel like it's all been coming full circle lately. With Mike, Kevin Harvick being partnered with Landon Lewis, and Ron Hornaday. Johnny Sauter came and drove for us a couple years ago. But yeah, having Mike, I had Mike with at Richmond, and he was awesome to work with. Yeah, it is crazy how things do come back around. Like you said, Dad and Mike first got their starts at Everham, went on their own path, and they now came back to Nice with me. So yeah, that's awesome.
So, your dad's had 8 wins in the truck series as a crew chief. Now, were you there for most of those races?
I was there for none of them actually, and it's got me chapped a little bit. I was supposed to go to Kansas for the first win, and I forget what happened. I didn't get to go. And I remember like being glued to the TV, like could not believe that this was happening. And just being in the shop, just knowing how different it was because the Niece Motorsports then, man, there was 20 employees. There's a half working fab shop. Not a lot of resources. I think the 4 shocks that were on the truck were the only 4 shocks they had. I mean, it was I was floored by it that they were able to come together, pull through, and were leading the race at the end. And yeah, I was glued to the TV, jumping up and down, and then I sat down. I was like, "Wow, I was supposed to be there." And then yeah, I haven't been able to be in person to any of them, but I was there in spirit.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how the 8 wins have come from two of the most, aggressive drivers,
Yeah.
that everyone seems to know nowadays, Ross Chastain and Carson Hocevar. So, and then those guys kind of mentally, Ross has kind of been trying to steer Carson in the right way. And so it's just kind of funny how Phil was able to be the guy that was on top of the box for those 8 wins for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then speaking of vibes, I mean, what were the vibes like at the shop just a few weeks ago for Daytona? You had Cletus McFarland, Travis Pastrana, Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, all of them driving Niece trucks just a few weeks ago. What were the vibes like at the shop for those 3 guys?
It was incredible. Cletus literally he flew his helicopter into our backyard. And it was really cool to meet all of those guys, Cletus and Squirrel. It's cool, and having Travis there. I've got to know Travis over the years, for him making the couple starts that he has made at Nice. All really cool people. I've known Ricky for a little bit, from Dad working at Roush. They're all really really good people, and yeah, we had fast trucks there. I hate that Cletus got caught up in a mess. But hopefully he learned from it, and he'll be able to move on. But yeah, it was awesome. I think our Twitter following has gained like 300%. It is insane. Um, yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. I remember watching Cletus's first video, and now seeing him walk through our shop, it was pretty surreal. So yeah, it was all cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you see that, and obviously Cletus has been kind of making the headlines lately
Mm-hmm.
with just this whole driver approval process. So I just wanted to know like your experience with the driver approval process, kind of where you're at in that and kind of
Mm-hmm.
how it works from your standpoint.
So from my standpoint, and I know a lot of other people my age or a little bit older than me could probably agree with this. We had to spend the money to go through go karts, race in the late models, and be successful at it, and then getting approved for ARCA, and also being successful at it, and then making the jump to trucks. It's a long process, and you obviously have to have the finishes to back it up, and there's references that you got to submit to back it up. Um, for me, I think it's cool because I think Cletus is really good for the sport. And if you watch his videos, he really can drive anything. But th- getting in the truck, it is so different from anything else. Really, there's not a lot that can prepare you for the moment where you're strapping into the truck. Um, so yeah, I feel like every driver should have to go through that process. Racing late models and have something to show for it, and then obviously he's ran a couple ARCA races, and but having results, and then getting the approval for the truck. Like I don't necessarily think a test at Rockingham should get you approved, and he did well. His lap times were good. Uh, they were very good actually. He did nick the wall, which I did too at the Rockingham test, but um, I think there should be more that goes into that than just a test. Just because I've gone through that process of, like I said, winning late model races, getting into ARCA, running well in that, and then getting approved for the truck. I think there has to be some kind of process for that.
Yeah, it almost, if like iRacing, you got to go from the rookie series and work your way up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it almost feels like right now that the process is like tougher on iRacing to get your A license in oval than it can be in NASCAR to kind of
Mhm.
move up in the ranks. Which I
Yeah,
mean, it's no fault of Cletus's. Like he's just taking every opportunity he can get.
yeah,
It's the process. It's not. It's kind of, hate the game, not the player.
absolutely. And I do think that once he does get it and understand that he will be good, just watching his simulator and stuff, like he does have the drive and he does have the skills, but he needs the experience. And Daytona was definitely an experience for him, even though it was short lived. I think he'll learn a lot from that. But I just think there has to be more of a process to get that approval, just because I had to go through that.
You had mentioned late models, and I wanted to take it a little bit back to you. I so I was at both Martinsville races that you raced, and I remember the first one. I think it might have been the first caution where you had the electrical issue on the backstretch.
Yep.
But the
Yep.
second one, I specifically remember watching that restart sometime within like 50 laps to go, and I saw you for the first time all day. You had made it to the top 10, and I think I can't remember who wrecked. It was like Jake Garcia. I think he got in the back of
Luke
somebody.
Baldwin.
It was Luke Baldwin. That's right.
Luke Baldwin.
So there you go. I mean, you've got Jake, Luke, and yourself. That's three guys that all kind of came up from the car store rank. I know
Mhm.
you've probably raced against them, and then of course for you, like that was had to be a special moment being able to crack the top 10. You worked from the back all day, but the fact that all these late model guys are kind of coming up into the truck series, we're seeing more of a presence of it. What does that like? How is that for you as a guy that kind of grew up doing so much late model? I know that it's nice to see the appreciation come more for those drivers that have coming up from your level and that level.
Mhm.
But just from your perspective, how has that transition been, stepping from a late model to a truck and also just having the competitors that you've raced against kind of surrounding you in the series?
Yeah, so it's funny about Luke. I grew up with Luke. We went to the same elementary school and the same middle school. We actually played AAU basketball together. He was a point guard and I was the power forward. We were not a good team. We did not win a lot of games or tournaments. But yeah, it's obviously cool to see a lot of people get their chance. I think uh, I think it's awesome. There's a lot of people that don't get their chance, and I think of Lee Pulliam. He's won over 100 races. I don't even know how many championships, and yet now he's finally getting a shot. And I think that's awesome. I think that's long overdue, and I'm glad that there's young guys like me who, like I mentioned earlier, we grinded through the late model stuff, won races, and made a name for ourselves, and now we're getting the opportunity to move up. And like I said, there's not a lot of people that will get to do that. So, when you move up with this group, like a Luke Baldwin or Connor Zilich, I raced a lot with him in late models. You do know people's driving styles. And so I think for me, once you get there and you have your late model guys, it's almost like the racecraft that's going to go on. So it's kind of in a sense made it a little bit easier on all of us because we know all of each other and we know how all of us race and we have that kind of respect for each other. And there's like you said, there's a lot of us. I think Caden Honeycutt, Landon Lewis, Luke Baldwin, me, Jake Garcia. There's a lot of us that have made that jump, and we all still talk. We're all still really good friends. We hang out outside of the track and stuff, and yeah, I wish that for any young late model racer coming through the ranks and is successful at it, that they do get their shot.
What did you think of Luke sending it in there on turn one, taking out Corey Day? Because I think you were right behind that too.
I saw it coming.
Did you send him a nice text?
I saw it coming, and I don't think he knew that we were already 3 wide, going to be 4 wide. And yeah, luckily I was able to make a quick maneuver and avoid that one, but that was definitely crazy.
That was like a highlight. I was watching that one when it happened, and I remember I
Yeah.
was like, that's not gonna work. But
Yeah.
no, it's cool though, just to have been able to watch you race a couple times. And then for me, I'm in Virginia, so I've got a lot of local tracks I haven't made it to yet, but that's just just from where you've come, whenever I go to a race, I'm looking at drivers. I always root for the guys that are new and the guys from the Cars Tour and the guys from Dirt, and I like seeing these newer generations come up because it's people like you that are going to make the difference here in the next 5, 10 years, and not even just in NASCAR, but in all forms of motorsports that you compete in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to know if there are any truck starts, if any opportunities do come up, are you kind of like poking at your dad, like, hey, trying to come sit on the box, trying to, put the crew chief hat back on? Is that an option that you keep trying to poke him at, try to get old dad back on the box?
I would. There's a lot I would do to be able to have him on the box, but unfortunately, this year he has his obligations with the 45, with Landon Lewis, Ross, and Ricky Stenhouse. So if there is a chance this year, it won't happen, unfortunately. But he helped out a lot on our the Milwaukee truck. He did most of the setup, to be honest with you. Um, I went to the simulator with him and worked on simulator stuff, and he's brilliant. And I take it for granted a lot of times, because you can watch it from afar and see like, oh, this guy is great. But when you actually work alongside with him and really like dive deep into what he's working on, it is incredible how smart he is. And I don't think he gets as much credit as he should. He works on it all day, every day. From the moment he wakes up, he goes to work, gets home. He's either working on our late model or he's trying to develop new ideas to make trucks go faster or anything. I mean, he is all in 100% all day, every day, and it's amazing to watch from a kid's perspective. We talked earlier about how when you watch your kids do something great, it really means a lot to you. But from my perspective, living it every day with him, it means a lot to me to watch him succeed, knowing that he is trying to pass that down to me, setting a correct example. And it is awesome. I couldn't ask for a better role model.
And so, I saw that you were a full-time student while also working
Yeah.
at the same time, and we were all college students at one point, and I can only imagine, like, how was it, balancing school and just like working in the shop all at the same time?
It's difficult. I still am taking online courses, only taking 2 classes, so the workload is not as bad. But I started, like I said, started at Nice when I was 15. I worked my summer break, and then when I was 17, I started working after school every day. So that was hard because that was 2023, I think. And everyone, Carson's going off and winning all these races, and they having all these shop lunches and team pictures with the trophy, and I'm at school in class. uh, but yeah, balancing the work, it's tough, and I might have abused the system to be able to pass, which I think we all have. But uh, yeah, just balancing schoolwork. I do try to do the work. I don't try to take shortcuts, but when you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Absolutely. There's only 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's just you gotta cut time where you can. So,
yeah.
and one more thing I got is, the new NASCAR game came out last year, and your truck being in there. How I don't know if you've raced it, but
Mhm.
how does it feel being in like a name in a NASCAR video game?
It's cool, and I grew up playing all the NASCAR games and stuff, and never would have imagined that I could have made it onto a game, really. But yeah, it's so cool to see, the Venture Foods truck with Lane Moore. He was a great part of my life and helped me out on the truck stuff, late model stuff. It's really cool for him to see his truck out there too. So, Yeah, we have some PlayStation at the shop, and we get into some heated battles during lunch sometimes. But the 4-4 normally does come out on top. But yeah, it is cool in all seriousness to see my name out there, and Matt Gould, not Phil Gould. you see that a lot, but when you see your name out there, it's cool. So yeah, it's definitely awesome. It is surreal.
Yeah, that's awesome. One last thing that I got, something that I always try to ask everybody in this kind of industry is, you know, everybody always has a question, how do you get to where you're at now? And I know that there's a lot of different avenues that you can go, but is there one piece of advice of somebody who is trying to get into this industry, whether that is driving or getting into a shop? Is there one piece of advice that you can try to give to somebody that to like try to make that leap?
I would say networking. Try to meet as much people as you can. And I am lucky that I have my dad and was able to network through him. Go to the racetrack, talk to people, talk to the owners at Nice, talk to the GM, talk to anybody. You never know where an opportunity might lead through knowing somebody. And obviously, I'm lucky. I'm surrounded by a lot of great people that are trying to give me the chance to race. And I don't think that I would have this opportunity if I didn't have that network. So yeah, for anybody trying to get into a sport, I would say networking. You never know where you meet someone, where it could lead, whether it be sponsorship. Someone's always going to need a driver. There's going to be a time where a paid driver is not going to will not drive, and they need a driver, or crew people. You never know when that door will open. So yeah, I would say networking. Try to meet as much people as you can. Talk to anybody. Nobody is a stranger to you. You never know where it could lead.
Matt, there's still a lot of time left here in 2026. This is the last thing I have for you, but what are some of your goals that you look to achieve this year in racing? Even outside of
Mhm.
the truck series, that's if you make a start, but with the cars tour,
Yep.
doing some late model stuff, but also some of your personal goals. Like, what do you look to achieve this year?
Yeah, racing wise, right now, me and Dad are getting the late model put back together. We'll probably start racing at the end of March, early April. Yeah, I want to go and win as many races as I can. We are upgrading our equipment, motor wise, car wise, all of that. So yeah, I want to go win as many races as I can. I know I'm capable of it. I've done it. And we don't necessarily have the resources. Late model racing has evolved a lot since I first started, and it's me, Dad, and a volunteer guy, Phil Curry, who comes to the racetrack and helps with us, and it is us. And we're racing against guys who do it every week. It's a full time job, and so yeah, I want to go in, and like I said, I know I'm capable of it. We're all capable of it. It's just actually being able to go and do it, and yeah, I want to win as many races as I can. Um, I want to finish school. I have this semester, next semester, and then I'll be done with my associate's degree. So getting that done and not having to worry about that'll be a big accomplishment for me. And then not going broke. I don't want to go broke.
Well, Matt, it's been awesome. Thanks for joining us. I mean, our first real, interview here on the rebranded Four and Field podcast. So it's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, I won't lie. When we were messaging back and forth, I did have to do a double take on the profile to make sure that it wasn't a bot account because I've been messed up by that before. So I had to check and make sure, like, oh no,
Yeah.
this is the real legit Matt Gould.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to this interview. And that's been Matt Gould of Niece Motorsports on the Four and Field podcast.